As an American who has lived in the United States for the vast majority of my life, I think I can safely say that we've got a couple of problems here. Some of our biggest problems are our gun problem and our cop problem. And it's strange to me that even now, when we're having a big national conversation about our gun problem, and the vast majority of people want to ban assault weapons and crack down on who exactly is allowed to own a gun in the first place, we're having that conversation, but not many people are talking about how maybe cops shouldn't have guns either. And to be perfectly honest, that is my viewpoint. Guns are bad. No one should have guns, even cops. Especially cops? Maybe. I bring this up because of a study that was just published in the journal Public Administration Review. Researchers at Rutgers dug through data from 2014 and 2015 to look at every instance in which a police officer used lethal force in the United States. Their finding, which might be a surprise to some people, is that when an officer kills a black person, that officer is just as likely to be white as they are to be black. In other words, we don't have a problem with white cops killing black people. We have a problem with cops of all races killing black people. Does that mean racism is over? I mean, sure, if you frequent some neo-Nazi subreddits, that's probably going to be your takeaway here. But no, not in reality. The study also showed that, yes, black people are murdered by cops way more often than statistical chance, about double. And that is a product of racism. We don't have a white cop problem in the US, but we do have a cop problem. Cops are racist, regardless of their own race. This shouldn't be surprising to anyone who has any knowledge of history or sociology, or anyone who is already a member of a marginalized group. There are always going to be members of those groups who gain some kind of authority and then use that authority to better fit in with their bigoted society and to raise themselves above what they see as the lesser members of their group. There are Jewish neo-Nazis and women who campaigned against suffrage and black Republicans. And you have cops from all kinds of backgrounds who join an inherently racist, sexist, and otherwise bigoted police force, and we give them all guns and expect them to uphold a backwards system. I mean, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine as much as the next girl, but in reality, our police force needs a massive overhaul. Consider this. The Rutgers study found that it's exceedingly rare for police to kill an unarmed person. Less than 1% of people killed by cops are unarmed. Sounds good, right? But you're probably currently picturing the difference between a person with his hands in the air and a person pointing a gun at an officer. And that's not the right picture to have. A person is actually considered armed if they are killed anywhere in the vicinity of a gun, whether that gun is locked in a safe box in their house, or whether it's in their car's trunk, or if it's in a holster right next to their license to carry, like it was with Philando Castile, for instance. Philando Castile was pulled over in his car by police. He informed them that he was carrying a gun, which he had a permit to carry, and he told them that he was reaching into his pocket for his wallet to get his ID that they were requesting, and then a cop shot him 7 times until he was dead. In this Rutgers study, he would be considered an armed suspect. Also, consider the many instances in which we've seen evidence of cops planting guns on people after they shoot them, like the case in Baltimore quite recently, where cops were discovered to actually carry around BB guns specifically for that purpose. Oh, and yes, BB guns also count as someone being armed, as do knives and even toy guns. It doesn't require a victim to be brandishing a real deadly gun in order for them to be considered armed. So even this study is unable to fully comprehend the number of unwarranted murders that cops have committed in the United States. We have a cop problem. Back in 2014, The Economist found that in the most recently available year, cops in the U.S. murdered 458 people. Do you know how many people were killed in Japan? 0. How many in Britain? 0. And do you want to know why? Yes, there is probably a very different culture there, which helps, but also the vast majority of cops in Britain don't carry guns because you don't actually need guns to keep people safe or to investigate crimes. What happens when you need a cop with a gun? Well, you call in the specially trained firearms officer whose entire job is based on being able to safely and responsibly wield a gun. Meanwhile, here in the US, not only does every cop have a gun, including guns they carry while off duty often, but now we're giving them assault rifles, which they're brandishing at peaceful protesters at anti-fascist rallies. Call me crazy, but when we have a police force who is murdering hundreds of people who don't need to be murdered, and they're showing up at anti-fascist rallies carrying assault weapons, I think it's time that our anti-gun rhetoric take the cops into consideration.